Hello everyone, this is SWTOR Snoopy here, back with another video. Today I have for you guys another Star Wars Republic guide video going over obtaining Masterwork data crystals. So if you didn't know, Masterwork data crystals are the currency used to purchase gear that has a rating 252 and 258. The gear can be purchased on the planet Osaka, and it can allow a player to become very strong. In this video, I'll be looking over the ways you can obtain these crystals fast and efficient, and I'll give some tips and pointers which could help with the process. I'll also have timestamps in the description down below, so you guys can jump to a particular point I talk about in the video. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy. If you do, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and let's get right into this guide. Alrighty guys, we're in the guide right now. So I'm currently on the Republic side of Osaka, and this is where I'll be demonstrating vendors and gear areas. The Imperial side of Osaka has the same vendors that give the same quest options, so this can still be followed along pretty easily, even though the Imperial area is completely different than the Republic one. So the first thing we're going to be going over is the methods. So there are 4 specific methods that you can use to get Masterwork data crystals. These include the unassembled components mission giver, weekly events that are relating to either PvE/PvP, a weekly that wants you to kill bosses or get ranked group arena points, and the command XP loot box system. So we're just going to go through each of these one by one. So the first one that I mentioned was the unassembled component mission giver. So on the Republic side of Osaka, he is right here. But on the Imperial side, he is another fellow that will have a very similar surname. So as you can tell, it just says a Masterwork Crystal Smuggler. So when you talk to this guy, he is just going to say some dialogue. Nothing to worry about. So he's talking about components to trade. And currently with me, it says exchange 1,000 unassembled components. Now, these components are obtained by simply PvPing at level 70. Ranked/unranked, doesn't matter. Unassembled components are used, and they can be helpful with getting these pieces of gear. So the way that this works is it's on a weekly cycle. So what you have to do is the first time you talk to this guy, he's going to ask you for 500 unassembled components. You'll click it, say that you're interested, and then you'll give 500 components for one Masterwork data crystal. Now, if you return in the same week, he will then ask you for 1,000 components, which I'm currently at right now, and then you can get another crystal. So the way this works is you can go to him 2 times in the same week before it resets on a Tuesday. So you can get 2 crystals for 1,500 unassembled components. What a lot of players do is they spend the first 500 unassembled components to get 1 crystal. They'll wait until the week resets, and then they'll spend 500 again to get another crystal. Because if you just want 2 in 1 week, you're going to have to spend 1,500. But if you just want to get 1 a week, all you have to do is spend 500. And then when he asks you for the 1,000, you just decline it, and then you just wait until the next week resets, so you can get more crystals. I know it's a little confusing with what I just said, so I will have something on screen to just help clarify what I mean by that. But essentially, with this guy, is if you have unassembled components from PvP, he can just be your man to go ahead and go to if you want some extra crystals to help for the gear grind on Osaka. Now, the second one is going to be the weekly events. So there's a droid on both the Republic and Imperial that is it's a kind of a person that you talk to, or rather this droid that has a surname that says time limited missions. Now, when you click on this droid, he can give you a weekly event. It just depends on the week. It's totally random, but they do have kind of a schedule around it. So when I clicked on this droid, he gave me the weekly event for Master Mode Flashpoints. So I have to complete 4 flashpoints in order to get 1 Masterwork data crystal. So after I complete this, I can just turn it in, get the crystal, and then wait till the next week. And then the droid will have another weekly event. So sometimes it is a PvE event, as you can tell with the Master Mode Flashpoints, or it can be something related to PvP. I know that there's one for just Galactic Starfighter, GSF, where you have to get I believe 3 wins on GSF, and then you can get a crystal. But every week the weekly event will change, and then you'll just have something new to do just to get 1 crystal. Now the third option that I mentioned is going to be the weekly that is on OSIS and relates to OSIS. So you're going to click on the mission board, whether it's on Imperial side or Republic. There will usually be a weekly here, and it just has the title of just the Masterwork Data Crystal. That's basically what the weekly is. And it wants you to either kill the 2 world bosses on OSIS, or it wants you to get 50 group ranked arena points. So you can do either one of these. Personally, I believe that if you're a ranked PvPer, then you'll have no problem getting the points. But if you just want to kill the bosses real quick and get the crystal, then that is also an option. Either way, they are both very simple to do. Just depends on what you would rather do. But that's another way to get a Masterwork Data Crystal. And then the fourth method is, like I said, the loot boxes from Galactic Command. So once you reach the max level of Galactic Command, you're just a rank at 300, just sitting here really bored. Every time you open a box afterwards, there's an incredibly, very, very small chance that you can get a Masterwork Data Crystal that will just come from the loot box. Now, people very rarely get these. I haven't even gotten one from the boxes, but it still is an option there as technically a method. I personally wouldn't recommend just banking on getting one from a box, but if you just want another Masterwork Data Crystal, there is always a chance just to get it from those loot boxes. Now that you know all the methods on getting the Masterwork Data Crystals, you may be wondering, where are the vendors? What can I do? What's going to be the deal with all that stuff? Because when you're collecting crystals, you kind of want to know, why exactly are you collecting these crystals? Well, right here on the Republic side, we can go to an equipment vendor. On the Imperial side, it's the same exact way. There's an equipment vendor, and then there is a Masterwork vendor. So as you can tell right here, if you have the crystals, you can buy pieces of gear for your class and or other classes, just depending on what tab you have it set to. And then after you get certain pieces of gear from the equipment vendor, you can then go to the Masterwork vendor. And then once again, this costs more Masterwork Data Crystals, and you also need the piece of gear that was 252 leading up to 258. But those are where the vendors are, and that is the main reason why you are actually collecting crystals just in itself. So the next thing we're going to be talking about is using alts. So using alt characters is very crucial if you just want to gear up one particular character incredibly fast, get him to 252 or 258 immediately, and it is very useful just in general if you're just on the grind to get the best gear that the game currently has to offer in patch 5.1. So you can get gear specifically for a certain class no matter what character you're on. So for example, if I just went on to a gunslinger and then I decided to go to this equipment vendor and I just had the pieces of gear from the crystals, I can simply just hit the all. I can find what gear I need for a particular class, buy it, and then I can just throw it into a legacy piece of gear and then mail it to the character that I want it to be on. So this is useful for just gearing in general, and it is also why alts are pretty clutch just for this new planet. Now, also something to note is that even on alts, you can complete these weeklies. It's not like you can only complete the weeklies on one character and your whole account is locked out of everything. No, you can just go to another character that you have available. He can do all the weeklies, get some crystals, and then he can do the same exact thing of just buying the pieces of gear. All he just has to do is he just has to get a legacy piece of gear, similar to the one I have currently in my inventory, just this remnant piece that's bound to legacy, and then he can just simply send it over to the character that needs it most. But something that I feel like is very important to note with using alts for these crystals and obtaining them is that if you haven't completed the OSIS story / unlock the dailies, you can still do the majority of the weeklies. The only one you can't do is the one that's on the mission board for Republic and Imperial side, and that is the mission for killing the world bosses and or getting the group ranked PvP arena points. So besides that, if you haven't completed the story or unlocked anything else on Osis, you can just jump right to this planet and start getting, start cracking with those missions, just with the unassembled components, just with the loot box system, and or just with these time limited missions from the droid. So using alts is useful. It just really depends on how much you do want to grind for these crystals, but they can be used and utilized in order to achieve just the maximum gear in the game currently. Now the next thing I'm going to discuss is not directly related to crystals, but it is important to note, and that is going to be the reputation system. Now if you didn't know, in Star Wars Republic you have a reputation system that is bound to your legacy. And the reason it's important to rank up the reputation on this planet Osis is because just with the reputation, when you start to get it up, you can purchase more pieces of gear. So for example, if I go to the equipment vendor right here, you can see that there's many pieces of 252 gear that I would want to buy, but unfortunately some of them require a higher reputation standing than I currently have. So this is important because you do need to try and max out your reputation and get it all the way to legend, so you can purchase all of the gear pieces that are 252 and 258 on the planet itself. And I felt like this was important to note because even if you have the data crystals to buy it and all that different stuff, you just did all the work, you obtained all the crystals, and are just utilizing utilizing alts, you still can't purchase it if you don't have a high enough reputation. So I thought this is important to note, because that should be one of the things that's also included with this, is try to complete the dailies on Osis, just all the weeklies, everything that can get you reputation, so you can just try to grind it out and maximize it, so then you can start purchasing all the gear pieces that are available. You can also get reputation points and the kind of trophies from dailies and weeklies that relate to ranked PvP. But if you don't feel like doing that, and or you aren't a ranked PvPer, you can just go directly to completing the dailies on Osis and just get the trophies and obtain some reputation points that way. Like I said, just through the dailies, you just get some more points, and these can be useful if you just want to get the main pieces of gear. Now, besides reputation, the other methods of obtaining gear besides just the crystals is going to be crafting. So if you are a crafter and you're just able to craft the pieces, and or if you're just someone that has the materials and wants to purchase it, or just going straight to the GTN, it's going to require a lot of credits and crafting materials. So just keep that in mind if you're looking to get the gear that way. You can also complete Master Mode Gods from the Machine to get the max level gear that is going to be in the 258 range. This is very useful if you are a hardcore raider, and if you just want to get the best gear in the game very rapidly, then just completing Gods from the Machine on Master Mode is useful. But be warned that fight, or all the fights that are in that are incredibly difficult, and most likely you're going to want some of the the max gear already before attempting that. But it still is something to consider if you just want some more gear and you're a pretty hardcore raider. And then besides that, you can do the weekly for completing the dailies on Osis to get a random piece of gear that's 252. It's currently in my inventory right here, but if you complete 10 daily missions on Osis, you can get the provided rewards of just, some relics of Osis, and then you can get this reputation trophy that's purple, so that will be very useful. And then you can also select one reward that will get you a random 252 rated piece of gear. So these are all very useful ways to get the gear. Not only that, if you just want to do some more things instead of just I say kind of like grinding out the Masterwork data crystals alone, but overall, if you just utilize the alts, just work really hard on a particular character, just to max out the reputation, then you can get to 258 with some relative ease. But other than that, that's going to be it for this Star Wars Republic guide video. I do apologize if I rambled on at some places, but I felt like this video could be useful if people just wanted some tips and some pointers just relating to this new system. But once again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.